Swamp Things, a podcast revisiting legendary runs.
The night. It sides with your enemies, turns its back on your fears, surrounds you like the hungry wolf pack, encircles you like the relentless shark, orbits over you with the patience of the vulture. The night. Spinning dizzily around the flimsy facade of civilization, closing in for the kill.
The same cold streets at night. Beneath the dead fluorescent light.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Swamp Things, a podcast where we'll be retracing classic Swamp Thing runs from beginning to end. In this, our third season, we are retracing Rick Veitch's run following Alan Moore, a run which is just wrapped up finally. I'm Robert Reineke. I read these books during their initial run, which brings me to our guest co-host, Matt Gamble. Welcome back, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
The opening reading from Swamp Thing number 74 was read by Eric McClung, who can be found on Twitter under that same name. I have some readers lined up for future episodes, but if any of our listeners would like to do readings, please send me an email. So, a little bit of background on what has come before. Prior to us getting into the issue, Swamp Thing and Constantine have been working together to find a home for the newborn elemental Spout so that Swamp Thing can retire with Abby. But they find themselves caught up in a synchronicity maelstrom while trying to find a host for the elemental Spout to be born. They've gone through a host of candidates, and their latest candidate, Chester Williams, was saved by Abby. Now, Constantine is noped out. Swamp Thing finds itself battling a prehistoric elemental sent on a mission of destruction by the Parliament of Trees, and Abby and the Sprout are on the run. Did I miss anything important there, Matt?
No, I think you kind of covered everything. That's yeah, it's been a very eventful, I don't know, what is it? 6 issues, 5 issues now? We're at 4, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think this is our third episode together. But it's been very eventful.
Yeah, there's a lot been going on, and
you cannot say you didn't get your money's worth out of these issues.
Yeah, these have all been great. Like a lot of fun, a lot of stuff going on, and it continues on in this one as well.
Yeah, and this is our latest Swamp Thing number 74, entitled "Center of the Cyclone," with a cover date of July 1988. The Grand Comics database lists a publication date of March 29th, 1988. There's a suggested for mature readers sticker on the cover, and the price is $1.25. On the back cover is an advertisement for Batman the Cult by Jim Starlin and our old friend Bernie Wrightson. Also in there, we have Alan Moore and Brian Bolland's The Killing Joke being advertised in the inside. So they were certainly hyping the heck out of that.
I absolutely believe it. That comic was everywhere back then.
Yes. I don't know how many printings they've done.
Yeah. And like non-comic book readers were bringing that to school and reading it. Like it was everywhere.
Yes. I was bringing it to school, but Michael William Kaluta did the cover. It's a rare instance of an artist who worked on the Wayne Wrightson series, returning for the revival. Kaluta did some inks on issue number 9, The Stalker from Beyond, for the original series, so that's unique. The cover features Swamp Thing in the center of a blue and white maelstrom with nothing to grab onto. So, thoughts on the cover, Matt?
I love this cover. I think it's great. like it's a little like when I first looked at it, it was a little ambiguous. I'm like, is he in water or is he in like in wind? Like it's clearly a storm of some sort, but
Hmm.
the idea, like once you know the actual title of the comic of the issue, like then it's very obvious that he's in the center of a tornado.
Yes.
And like I think it works really well with this story. It feel like or in this issue, like it feels like there's a lot going on, but there's also a lot of like quiet resolution in like an eye of a storm kind of thing. And on top of it, like just the look of this is very cool. Like they did a really good um the inks on Swamp Thing look freaking great, and like the leaves and roots spinning around him. It's a great cover. I really like it.
Yeah, it is a good cover, and I like to see it. I mean, you look at you kind of see the traces of the original design in Swamp Thing's face and
Yep.
head. You also see the current more plant-like iteration
Yep.
with the roots and such. So I like it too. I like the blue and white. I see the white there. It kind of reminds me of Abby's not on the cover, but she kind of feels like she could be on the cover.
Yeah. There's just so much movement in this image too, which I always like that in a cover. Like it feels like there's a lot of action going on, even though it's just a static
Mhm.
image, and like it just looks great. It's a very eye-catching, like you said, especially with like the mixed blues and whites. Like that is a very unique color scheme for a cover.
Yeah.
And like there's no way this wasn't catching people's eye. Like
Yeah. I think it takes advantage of, the redesign of Swamp Thing with all the vines and such.
yeah,
So now you get to see them being whipped around in the wind.
yeah, yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So, let's move on to the interior. Uh, the usual suspects. Almost all of them have been either Hall of Fame inductees or could be. The script is by Rick Veitch. The pencils are by Rick Veitch. The ink, who was just inducted the Eisner Hall of Fame at this year's San Diego Comic Con. Inks are by Alfredo Alcala, edited by Karen Berger. Colors are by Tatiana Wood, and the letters are by John Costanza. Um, so let's get started here. We starts out kind of where we left off, and we've seen this before. Abby on the run, something chasing her. Doesn't quite know what at this point, but she's
Yeah,
actually kind of,
I think in the last issue, like we knew everyone is converging to a singular point.
yeah,
And this is kind of like touching back in with Abby, I don't know, kind of swaddling the Sprout and carrying him along. Very much a mother aspect to her and how she's handling dealing with the Sprout,
yeah,
taking him to wherever they're going. Um,
yeah. She's protecting it.
yeah,
I mean, she's being mother-like with it, and this is kind of like a little bit after Aliens here, so you kind of carrying that through with her as the mother protector in the action, and this kind of playing with the tropes of the Warriors, where Abby on the run is a pretty classic image of what Moore would do
yeah, and
early
there's no
on, not so much later, but
yeah, and I mean, and there's no dialogue in this first page. It's 9 panels. Um, all the descriptions in it feels very like it feels kind of has like a poetic feel where it's just kind of it is narrating, but it's doing it. Um, it's certainly a bit over the top in how it's narrating. Like the darkness is closing in and the night is swallowing you up, and like you have to be protected from it. It works really well with what she's doing and how she's like protecting the Sprout as they're running. Um,
yes,
it's a very very nice way to open before we move into the comedic that we're about to have, which is again kind of the tone of the issues we've reviewed. they swing so well from like these kind of this like poetic license to this outright almost like
Mad
Keystone
Magazine
Cops
parody.
comedy. Yeah, it's all over the place, but like it's done in a way it feels very natural.
It does.
And
It
it's
feels very much like Rick Veitch.
yeah. It's yeah, there's a level of chaos that is just very fun. Um
With, the Wild Thing, Lipschitz, and Roy Raymond is, they weren't in the last issue, but now they are. So everybody's here.
yeah. In what honestly on page 3, like the very last panel is my favorite one, as all the urine is pouring out of their car.
Are we sure it's just urine?
I'm sure it's many other things, but like it's just, and that it goes on for several panels. It's such a great little, I mean, you certainly we whip pan away from them to go to Swamp Thing, but when we come back, there's still liquid streaming out of the car, which just helps reiterate the fact like how long they've been trapped in here, how nightmarish this scenario is, and yeah,
How funny the serial is,
it is.
too.
It's so fun. Like it's such a dark way to like. I mean, there are two characters that absolutely deserve it. But like it's so dark and twisted, and just it's just that little knife twist that is just that makes it made me laugh out loud when I saw it. Like I literally was like, that's so good. That's so good. On top of the fact you have the crazy Swamp Thing coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, it's and the flies. Like it's everything about this is just like absolute foulness, like coming out of this limo, and Abby is just sitting there watching it unfurl. It's pretty great.
You know, Alan Moore can be very funny.
Yeah.
This is not Alan Moore humor.
No. This is great. Like this is very much shitting on capitalism at a time when like not a popular thing to do and really kind of great. I mean, this is right around Carpenter. What the glasses? Why
They
am I
live.
blank? This would have been right around that time. That's 88, 89. Is that They Live, I want to say?
Yeah, I think you're about right. It's somewhere
Yeah,
around
it's right around that time, like tail end of Reagan, where everyone's just sick of his shit. Because we're
Was
through.
Die Hard 87 or was it 88?
Yeah, Die Hard is 88. I mean,
This
we
is
would have been
before Die Hard.
firmly, yeah, we would have been firmly through Iran Contra at this point.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's just, I mean, not everyone, but certainly a large subset is just sick of Reagan and the bullshit of that administration.
Where was RoboCop at that point? Was it 87 or 88?
RoboCop might have been 87. I should look that up. That's right around then too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that right around that time is like finally we're starting to see.
We're sick of this bullshit.
Yeah, RoboCop is 87. Oh, what a great movie.
I agree.
Right around this time is when people are finally like, this is, I mean, you got to figure like all this stuff's been in production for probably a year prior to that, but that makes sense. We're 6-7 years into Reagan and everyone's just like, fuck it. Let's let it rip. There's less risk. I mean, and I remember at the time, like Bush was kind of viewed as meek, which was crazy because he led the CIA, but like Reagan was the tough guy, which was weird. And so, yeah, I just,
Bush was the guy that was viewed as the kind of guy from Maine. He's just kind of like not quite a Kennedy.
Yeah, and just kind of like kind of weak and ineffectual, and like it's like no, that guy ran the CIA. Like that guy, like that guy's far more competent than Reagan. He has zero charisma. And
somehow his son sold himself as a Texan, but
mm-hmm. Well, and Jeb tried to sell himself as a Floridian. Like, what are we doing? Um, just carpetbaggers, the lot of them. They all go to Yale. In Skull and Bones, and they're gonna be like, nah, I'm just a folksy cattle rancher. What assholes. Anyways,
let's get our ass to Mars while we're at it.
yeah. And then we immediately pivot back to the, I guess the Veitch version of rotoscoping of Swamp Thing dragging this, I don't know, swamp T-Rex through space.
Crayon?
Yeah. I think it's crayon. Crayon on construction paper would
I
be.
think you're right.
I think that's what it is. It's whatever it is, it's great. We go to Mars. I really like this little interlude of like going to Mars. There's a lot that's going on, like the fact that there's barely any life there, so they are all like desiccated.
Starting it, yeah.
Yeah, and so like Swamp Thing and the T-Rex are basically all these like desiccated husks because there's not enough life to sustain them, and that's what appeals to the T-Rex, that maybe I can bring life to this planet. And you see like it's a very, it's just 3 pages, but it's doing a ton of history and world building, and it's really cool.
And it really is a clever resolution too, instead of I'm gonna punch harder than you.
And what's really interesting too is this is kind of foreshadowing the resolution that he has with the swamp council or whatever they're called. I can't remember what they're
Parliament.
called. Parliament, where it's it's not done through a big fight. It's just kind of done intellectually, hey, here's something that's better. Maybe you should try and do this. Oh, and by doing this, you'll also get your own freedom. It's an interesting, that's one of the things in this issue I liked so much, is how it resolved things, because I was not expecting so many of these resolutions to happen that way, where it just sort of, I mean, this one's actually on the page. The resolution with the Parliament is almost basically off screen.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating, because you've been building and building and building, and at this time in DC and Marvel, everything is wham, bam, pow resolutions, and this is
Dark Knight Returns was not that long ago.
Yeah, and this is literally no, we'll have a conversation and come to a good resolution that everybody benefits from. Sweet, see ya.
This is learning the proper thing about proper lessons from Watchmen that
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially we're gonna solve this with diplomacy. That is literally the resolution is, which again, when you're talking about they're having all these anti-capitalist messages, anti-Reagan messages, this also is just as subversive, that we're gonna solve this with diplomacy rather than backroom arms deals or bombing or anything like that. It's just I don't think it would hit. I certainly would not have picked up on this when this came out. I would have been 12, 13. I would have just been oh, that's cool, a dinosaur wandering off and Mars is gonna have plants. But reading it now, it's oh my god, that's really smart. And really, it's really savage in its own way. That I would have never picked, and I doubt a lot of teenagers would have picked it out. Certainly this is not a comic marketed to teens.
This is a mature reader. It's for
that
are mature, not overgrown teenagers.
But it's what's great is this is a mature resolution. I think all the way comics is always talked about. When you hear mature reader, you're oh, it's going to be smutty. That's what it's going to be, and it's no, this is a really cool adult style resolution that you just don't see. It's really great.
You don't get that in movies or TV either very often.
No, it's so rare. I it's just, you don't see this in almost any medium. This just isn't they want the action because you're building to it and everyone wants the payoff. And the payoff to this, when you read it, feels initially at least to be pretty unimpressive, but like when you really start thinking about it, I think that's when you're like, oh, this is really cool. This is a really cool way of doing this. Everyone
Yeah,
wins. Everyone won in this situation.
they all got something. Maybe they weren't expecting it, but they got something out of it.
Yeah, yeah. And like and it also sets up like they could do something cool. Like Mars could get essentially terraformed because of this. Like, and you could run
You
and do
can
stuff off
revisit
of
that.
that. Yeah, you can totally revisit it and do other things. And like,
I mean, I know Veitch did not come back to it during his run, but it is an idea that's still out there.
yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great way to play with the idea of Mars.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
I,
it's
I like the design. Got the thin atmosphere and the thin gravity, and it looks appropriate.
yeah, yeah. I really like this little interlude. I think it's just incredibly smart.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
I
and
mean,
then we go.
the only other thing I have to, well, I have two things to say. One, at about the same time, they're doing like an alternate version of Martian Manhunter instead of looking like a big, burly, bald guy. They kind of had a more of an thin design, which was supposed to be his true self. About the same time, so I don't know if that was an influence, but it seems like it was on the same page. And the other ones, do you have any idea where the name Swamp Knucker came from?
No, I do not.
I mean, it's just kind of odd that he came up with that name out of nowhere, apparently.
Interesting.
I mean, that's what Swamp Thing calls him, so I guess I'll take it.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I don't know if I would come up with that in a million years.
yeah,
Not like he says, "Oh, I'm the Swamp Knucker."
yeah. And then we return to my favorite duo, dynamic duo. Um,
Lipschitz and Roy Raymond.
oh, this is just so good. It's so good. He had to have just been cackling right in this. I can't. It's so savage. Um,
Yeah, don't close the door, Ray.
yeah, Raymond just continuing to try and sell his Swamp Thing TV show. Uh,
To
and it's
nobody, because
yeah, because the phone doesn't work. Lipsitch is basically like trapped because he can't move. He's begging him not to shut the door and lock them back in into this hellhole. And that's it. That's and then the other Swamp Thing, the crazed Swamp Thing, just kind of wanders off.
Pursuit of Abby, yeah.
Yeah, to follow Abby and the Sprout.
you know,
Um,
and I
but
like
yeah,
that all taking place in the background.
yep. It's again, it's great. Like he's doing like if you did I mean, I would certainly have loved an entire issue just devoted to these two morons and their suffering, but I think it would have been overkill to do it this way. What that he does these just short little snippets that just this punctuation of them, I think works really, really well. Because it's such a great change of pace, and then you do these, and then he goes right back into being this kind of poetic license of as the Swamp Thing is trying to return essentially to Earth and find Constantine. Um, and yeah, it's another like this is 3 or 4 transitions we've had in like 6 pages from different things. Like
Yeah,
it's a lot of bouncing around, but the pace feels really good. Um, Everything is like there's a lot of meat on the bones, even though the longest thing is 3 pages long in this entire thing. Like everything else
no,
is
I'm
essentially a
extended.
page. Yeah.
Yeah,
But everything has a ton of meat on it, and it feels like it's flowing well. Um,
you know,
and yeah, like it's a very easy read. That like
it helps that I don't know if you could pick this up out of nowhere, but if you've been following along, I know who Abby is, I know who Constantine is, I know
yeah,
Swamp Thing, I know the Sprout, what's going on there. Lipschitz and Roy Raymond, yeah, that's about where it's going to end up, isn't it?
yep, yeah, and then we
Now we got to check in with Constantine.
yep, as he's been assaulted by Nazis who are going to set him on fire. I'm
Yeah,
assuming this is something that happened in Hellblazer that we are just finding out about.
it happened in the ghost haunted Constantine and Hellblazer, and he stepped off the train, but was still going. Oops.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, which will bring us to our second reading, which I'm going to insert here. So,
Lies before me like a puppet with its strings cut. A thick-skinned bag whose fragile contents of bones and organs have been shattered as if dropped from a great height. He's close to death. Very close. Oh, Constantine, will you be any more satisfied by what you find on the other side? Mustn't think like that. Not while there's still a chance. With gentle tendrils, I brace his broken bones, stitch his leaking organs, cradle his fractured skull, enter his bloodstream, searching for brain damage.
okay, this picks up after Hellblazer number 7,
Okay.
and this doesn't really fit in with Swamp Thing number 73, where Constantine just left Abby and Chester what seems like minutes before. I mean, it's dark now, so maybe it was a couple hours, but somehow he got back to England, had a whole issue of his continuing story, and then ended up at the bottom of a uh, train trestle. But the cross continuity doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I
work.
mean, all you know is he's been beat up in some way. It's Nazis are there threatening him, and insulting him in multiple British ways that only some of them I understand.
I wonder if Rick Veitch was on the phone to Jamie Delano or Alan Moore when he was writing this.
He had to have been. But yeah, and then Swamp Thing reappears and saves him. And then, speaking of RoboCop, essentially becomes an organic exoskeleton for
Yeah.
him and walks his body around, which is so cool. It's so cool. I don't think we've ever seen him do that before.
No, and somehow he works his way into Constantine's memories.
Yep. Yeah, this is like a really smart way to like tie in so Swamp Thing has an idea of what actually is going on because Constant Teen has been working in the background, and a lot of this he just has no idea has been going on. He's been doing this for multiple episodes, trying to figure out what's going on and what's causing all these problems. Neither of them have been really communicating about it very well. So this is a great way to resolve it by like, it's not really fully explained, but
Constantine was not sharing with me.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this is just classic rule of cool. Like, there's no explanation for why this works, but it's working and it serves our purpose, and it's great, and we'll move on. And I'm in a comic book format, I am absolutely fine with that. I don't need.
Yeah, and I feel like you have a good contrast between the books Hellblazer and Swamp Thing too, with the punks about to set Constantine on fire. That feels like Hellblazer.
Yeah,
And
very much.
all this craziness just feels like Swamp Thing.
Yep. So yeah, we have that tie back, and then we again transition again, pretty dramatically to Abby and the Sprout, as they're trying to escape from the other Swamp Thing. She's convinced it is from God, I keep forgetting the name of it. The council or whatever it is. I
The
really need
Parliament, yeah.
the Parliament. Yeah, she's convinced it's another one of the Parliament creatures, which yes and no. Like if you want to be
It's kind of a failed attempt.
Yeah, I mean it's more like it's the failed Swamp Thing replacement, but yeah, she's trying to escape from it as it's chasing her down. I'm not quite sure why the motor explodes, but it does.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a theory on that.
yeah.
My theory is, Abby is for all intents and purposes married to Swamp Thing, so arguably her initials are A Holland. So
Um,
I note the Holland label on the boat
on
motor.
the motor, yep.
Let's go. So could she be one of the potential hosts for the next Swamp Thing? Or is that Veitch's suggestion?
Yeah. Love the Grateful Dead sticker on the boat.
It is Chester's boat.
Yep. It's a nice little callback. And then she's essentially surrounded in flames.
Yep.
And becomes once again the damsel in distress that is her standard plot device throughout much of the series, for the most part.
Yeah, except for when she comes up with solutions. So
yeah. I mean, she's certainly used far better than most are, but yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean, there are times when yes, she is damsel in distress. There are other times it's like, oh, I will defeat the Monkey King.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, and this is again, they resolve it really fast. Swamp Thing appears, grabs her, essentially creates stilt legs and walks out of the flames. And then
blows up the Wild Thing's head.
Yeah, and blows up its head in a fascinating way. This artwork is really cool to me. It's got to be some sort of like digital.
There must have been some templates or patterns that
Yeah, it's very cool. I don't know how they did it. It's very cool. It's very psychedelic, which they hadn't done a ton of that so far. But definitely fits with Veitch a lot.
Yep.
And this is again, like this is by far the most violent resolution to any of the plot lines. But even still, it's done like, oh, the violence is only occurring to essentially Swamp Things. Like it doesn't affect anything else. It will only affect this particular one and specific, certain plant life will understand because it's described as vegetable wavelength, whatever that means. Yeah, whatever that means. Which kills the Swamp Thing, and then the Parliament appears. Again.
Yeah.
And
I do like that, the one that goes Uka Uka is the Wild Thing says that earlier. So apparently Swamp Thing managed to be hiding the Parliament in the Wild Thing. So they've been imprisoned in front of us all this time and hiding in plain sight, basically.
It's very neat. And and like the wingdings he used is very similar to like the first one that appears too. Like,
yeah,
I think the scripts are very similar. Like, it's cool. Like, it's a very that these are all parts of the Parliament that made this Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing then tells Abby to escape because only he should be the one dealing with them. She runs off, and then finds the Sprout who's wrapped in vines. And again, another very psychedelic kind of image.
Yeah.
And like again, this is also just kind of like she's been burned, and they kind of like she rescues. Her. Yeah, she rescues it, then it rescues and heals her. It's a very cool, scene.
Yeah. Swamp Thing does not have that healing power on humans.
Well, and we hadn't really seen the Sprout do anything up to this point. It just kind of has sat around, and it seems to be getting bigger. Not sure if that's by choice or not. And then once the Sprout heals her, the Swamp Thing appears again and basically goes, "Oh yeah, I resolved everything with the Parliament. We're all good because it entirely happens off screen. We don't see any big fight. We don't see any big whatever discussion. And what we find out is he essentially offered them the same deal that he did to the Mars T-Rex of, hey, there's all these celestial planets that need your help. If you guys head out and go to those places, like, you guys can be autonomous, do your own thing, and kind of essentially, expand our little religious sect or whatever you want to call us, across the celestial plane. And it's another very cool way to resolve this that is incredibly anticlimactic.
But clever.
It is. It's incredibly clever. I think, like, the whole thing is really smart, but I think, again, like, if this was a book written for teenagers, I think they'd be pretty upset that, like, there's no, like, the resolution is literally, again, diplomacy.
Can he fight some ninjas?
Yeah. There's like, just when you think there's about to be a fight, everything is immediately resolved once they finally get to this place, which is fascinating. And then at this point, then he's like, okay, they actually told me here's what the problem with the Sprout is, and the Sprout is what is causing all of these problems, and we have to eliminate him. Like, if that's the only thing that's going to solve this, or at least mitigate the issues that are occurring. And he asks Abby to leave so he can do it, essentially put old Yeller down without her sitting around.
Yeah. Which brings us to our third reading for the issue, which I'll insert here.
They say that the planetary forces are beyond all known means of control, that it's too late. There is no way to turn back the clock to repair the damage already suffered. But perhaps I can at least deflect some of the horror bearing down upon us. I have to, Abby. I should have done it a long time ago. The Sprout's very existence is to blame for all our troubles. Go home, Abby. This is something I have to do alone.
We're finally off the merry-go-round of them trying to give birth to the Sprout the old-fashioned way.
Yep.
But the Swamp Thing hasn't figured it out yet, and we're left with the possibility that death of the Sprout is the only option. So I guess it's something of a cliffhanger, because, Abby is fond of the Sprout. Sprout and her are bonded.
Yep. Well, and I really like this page too of her walking off. It really goes well with the opening page of the whole thing. It ends the same way with the night, which is how the book opens.
Right.
Of her just wandering into the darkness, upset and alone. It's a great juxtaposition against the first page when it was her and Sprout, her protecting Sprout, and now she's kind of abandoning him. It's a great scene, and like it heavily implies, Swamp Thing is going to kill Sprout, without ever showing it, and it's hard to know, like, did he do it? I mean, you assume he did, but you don't know for sure, because it's, again, another resolution completely outside the panel that you have no idea. And then before you can really think about it, we go back to our two biggest idiots.
Back inside the limo.
Yeah, back to the limo. The dentures on the dash is such a great image. Oh, it's so disgusting. And just it's absolutely foul. You can see they're still in here, that they're in this, essentially, I don't even know what, their own filth in this limo. They're essentially melting away. It's so disgusting in there. and then we have this image. Like at first, I thought it was the sun, and you discover that it's actually two police officers that
Yes,
are shining a flashlight.
yeah, the two officers had showed up earlier that they have found that cable
Yeah.
outside the highlight, and they're modeled after Stephen Bissett and John Tottleman.
Yeah, and then just like, and the response is, "Jesus God, Mister, how long have you been here?" Which feels like the right response. And then we are just casually told that Leipschitz is dead and died, essentially choking on his own vomit and urine and whatever else was in that sludge because he couldn't move. And he
Kind
had
of a
fallen.
Spinal Tap reference, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty
Don't
nasty.
Bobbit,
Yeah.
not his own.
And then yeah, they haul is it Ray? I can't think of his name.
Roy Raymond.
Roy Raymond. They haul him out to the police car as Swamp Thing watches them. And then we find out that Sprout is still alive.
Yeah.
And that's the end. Like
that is the end. I mean, I note that the last set of panels kind of echo the last set of panels of issue number 31, the Brimstone Ballet. Also drawn by Veitch and Alcala, where, the same cops find Matt Cable on the side of the road. And Swamp Thing kind of watches them leave from the trees. This time he's joined by the Sprout.
Yeah, I really like this issue a lot. It's such a different tone. I mean, it's not tone is I think is the wrong thing. Like because it is tonally very similar to the others in which it's the plot moves really quick, the pace is really good, it's very smart, it's very funny when it needs to be, but all like everything had been hinted for several issues, like this big climactic battle that was going to resolve everything, but every resolution in this was almost always diplomatic, almost always off screen. It's just such a different. It's so unlikely a way to do this kind of comic that I found it really really interesting and really really enjoyable.
Yeah. It kind of promises a slam bag punch 'em up, and then it kind of subverts it at every turn.
Yeah, and but like every resolution is very smart. It's they all make sense. Like they don't feel cheap. They feel earned. But it's not the type of earned ending as a reader, as a regular reader, you would expect. Like it just catches you off guard, and they do it again and again and again. And I also love like the whole reason we're in this mess is Swamp Thing consistently made bad decisions, both surrounding the Sprout and pre-Sprout. Like he didn't allow himself to die, and then refused to kill Sprout or any of the other hosts. And we find out he is again repeating the same decision again of keeping Sprout alive when he knows it's going to cause problems. Which feels like that feels like it feels like how that character would make that decision. Like he wants things to be alive. He wants things to grow. He doesn't want to kill things.
He doesn't want to be an executioner.
Yeah, and like even though nature is all about execution, all about death, this version of Swamp Thing wants to be about life and rebirth, and it's just even if it causes these traumatic problems.
He will journey to hell to pull back Abby's soul.
Yeah. And it just feels very much in line with this character. He is not someone that's going to do that without like it being a real problem for him. And like I like that. Like I don't think I would have liked that Sprout would have been killed off panel, because I think it would be so hard for him. It would be so traumatic. You want to see that. You want to see how he deals with it. And so to do it the way they did and hint heavily that the Sprout was going to be killed, and then still have the Sprout there, I think really works.
Mhm. And we
And on,
still have that Abby and child imagery to deal with too.
yep,
So
yep, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, my assumption is the child is who will the Sprout will go into, but we'll find out. Um, but
Hmm.
maybe the child is the Sprout. Who knows? Or vice versa. Who knows? There's a lot of ways you could go with this. Like it's
Yeah.
setting up a lot of different things, but it also feels like a very clear resolution to the Parliament issue, to the two morons in the limo. Like all of that is essentially been
Yeah.
resolved and been resolved very well.
Yeah. And the,
Um,
the wild thing is done. We don't
yeah,
have to worry about that anymore.
yeah. So
You know,
like I fully expect the next issue to be, I'm sure it's going to tie in some to this, but like I fully expect it to be the start of a new arc.
yeah.
Um,
Or yeah. Yeah, I do too. I mean about the only thing I really don't feel I got in this one is like a page that just kind of blew my mind with non-traditional layouts.
yeah,
But
yeah,
a lot is accomplished in this issue.
yeah, and he certainly calls back to some of the other stuff he'd done before, but
Mhm.
nothing showing off. Um,
Yeah. And I feel like, the guy that we don't give enough credit for, even I don't give enough credit for, John Costanza, doing the letters, because
yeah,
all the elementals have the unique lettering for it, and when you goes places and all the sound effects of that, it feels very unique. It feels Swamp Thing.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here that, yeah, it feels wholly unique to Swamp Thing. Um, I've never heard SMEP as a sound effect. I love the idea of lurch as a sound effect. That is great. That's up there with Spider-Man falling on his ass with it butt being the sound effect. Um, yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Yeah, I think the lettering in this one in particular is pretty great. Um, yeah, I find this to be like it's such a different way to conclude like a story arc, but I still found it really satisfying.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like it's the one thing that, you know, Alan Moore started said we're not going to end up with just the hero punching out the bad guy. We're
yeah,
going to try to think ways around it, or when if that's the only thing they do, it's not going to work.
yeah, and I
So
think it ends up making for better stories. Like
yeah,
it's things are more unresolved that way, and it leaves things open ended, so they can return to things a lot better. Like beating
yeah,
someone up and throwing them in prison, then what are you going to do? Okay, we have to do a prison break at some point, or just there's not a lot you can do with that. With these resolutions, they've not only you can revisit them, but you can also revisit very different things. Like they can go back to Mars and find it's repopulated. You have all you can go very celestial now, which you really Swamp Thing was a very earth grounded character for the most part, and now they've opened up that world a lot, so they could do a lot more with it if they really wanted to. Um, which I
yeah,
think is great. Like that's what you want. You want the character to grow, and not just repeat the same kind of storyline over and over and over with just a different villain of the week.
hmm
Which, as a Spider-Man fan, is a huge problem with Spider-Man. Like that is,
and
um,
and even if Swamp Thing just goes kill the Sprout, the fallout with Abby is not going to be
yeah,
pleasant.
yeah. There's lots of ways you can do this that it's not going to be good, or could there's a they've allowed them, it's the exact opposite of painting themselves into a corner. They have given themselves 4 or 5 different ways that they can progress this story. All of them would be interesting. um and that's what you want to try and do, especially in comics. Like, good lord, you don't want to railroad yourself, which is so easy to do.
I
um
I feel like they even brought up the idea about what if Abby is the next elemental? That would have
yeah,
been interesting. I mean,
I yeah I
particularly
think I think
Well,
that would be really cool. I think the idea of their kid being the next elemental could be really cool. Um, like those to me seem like the two most likely resolutions.
Mhm.
And either one of those I would find interesting and would want to read and see what they come up with. Um, and they could go a third direction that I'm not even considering. Um,
Well, I do know that they have some upcoming ways that are not what we would think.
yeah,
This
I
is not
mean,
A to B. This is A to Z to Q.
yeah, and that is something I would expect out of Veitch. Like
Yeah.
he's always going to have a novel solution to his plot, and that's something that's been very consistent in this arc. It's always done. It's always been an interesting take or an interesting, little sidestep that keeps you guessing, and that makes it so much more fun to read. It turns it into a turn pager because you're just like,
I think I think Rick Veitch throughout has never been interested. I'm not interested in the guy just punching out the other guy.
yeah. Well, and that's like the epitome of the independent, the indie comic book writer.
Yeah.
Like I think he was one of the first big ones. Um, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine how influential he was to a lot of comic book creators in the 2000s, especially indie comic book creators when that
Yeah.
started blowing up. Like that, you don't have to resolve things with just a big, annual blowout.
No.
You can do it in all sorts of other ways, and like,
Heck, you can do a comic book just about dream imagery.
yep, yep, and like, and that's what's about to start pouring out of indie comics is like all sorts of personal interest stories, superhero stories, other types of stories, all with different ways of resolving conflict that you would never have seen in from DC or
Mhm.
Marvel.
Well, I feel like, with Vertigo not really being like, I guess it is a thing again, but it's not the same thing that it
Yeah.
was. But it kind of feels like they've regressed in some ways, and I feel like the big comic book movies have kind of helped in that regression.
Yeah. I would agree. Like that's yeah, I mean we are right at the cusp of Vertigo being launched, and that is the pinnacle to me of the big two. And I don't think there's any question from anybody about that.
No, I
Like
don't think so either.
like that is what you would always hope from money and talent backing, a comic.
Yeah,
Um and
yeah,
like
a visionary editor
yeah,
letting the talent create.
yeah, yeah, and doing what an editor should be doing, which is fending off the suits and letting you have the space and the resources to make art.
Yeah.
And that just,
Keep a story so it's the best version of the story you can tell,
uh-huh.
but
And
not
yeah,
necessarily saying you need to do this, this, and this. But
well,
maybe you can do this a little bit better. Have you thought about this way?
yeah. And I think the fact it's barely, Vertigo is one of the few times that's really occurred in the history of comics.
Yeah,
Is a testament to how difficult it is to do in a corporate atmosphere. And why so many people move to indies and why indies
yeah,
and manga and all these other things blew up because that's where the freedom to create is. Um, and yeah, it's just like I said, a lot of that, Veitch, even though I'm sure a lot of people have no idea who he
yeah,
is responsible for a lot of that. Like
yeah,
he helped drive that and
yeah.
show you could be successful creatively. I mean, maybe not quite financially, but certainly creatively,
Yeah.
by
Or
doing it.
I like how Dark Horse handled it too. They go,
Yeah,
okay, we'll give the big movie license to bring in money, but we'll say, Frank Miller, you want to do a Nor comic book? Yeah, a Nor comic book.
yeah. Top Cow did that. A few others did that. Like a lot, like that. A lot of that stuff kind of happened in the 2000s, where these like offshoot imprints, had their one big license that they would sell off, and that would fuel everything else. But a lot of those were also creator-owned imprints. Like that's why they did it. Like, we need to have something bringing the money in, so we could play in our sandboxes with everything else.
This Mike Magnolia, come over here from the big two and do your Hellboy book, whatever that is. What, you want to draw monsters and demons and occult things? Go ahead.
Well, and then and then we ran into the problem of like that's what they did is they bought all the big indie creators to come in with the promise of money and fame and creative license, and then went, oh, what is this you dropped in front of me? I don't know what this is. I do not like it. We will not publish it. You will make a Fantastic Four book and a Batman book, and that is it. And and see you later. If you don't like it, we will, sue you into oblivion. So,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with your standard superhero comic book, and God knows I've read hundreds of them.
No, like I said, I love Spider-Man. I absolutely love it. It is incredibly reductive and repetitive, but I love it. And and that's fine. I'm not reading Spider-Man for things that I'm reading other.
I'm not expecting it. I'm not reading Spider-Man for great insights of what it is to be an adult.
I'm not. That is not what it's there for. Like I want some growth of the character. I want some interesting ways that the character is dealing with things. Maybe once every 5 years, a villain that's interesting that I haven't seen anything before. But like, I don't need a ton more from that kind of property. But I would also hope the creators that are writing those Spider-Man books are able to do other things that they really want to get a good creative outlet for. And I'm very happy.
I'm very happy when I have a good Swamp Thing comic book and a good Batman comic book, and they're both doing different things.
I mean, and that's what the big two, use. I mean, I don't know if they've ever been great at it. They'll have their moments where they're great at it. But like that is what theoretically is what they're best at. And letting people like play in a sandbox that they grew up on and want to play with and like do some interesting things. I think of what J. Michael Straczynski did with Spider-Man was awesome. And letting a guy of that talent play in a sandbox like that is cool. Same thing, it's the same thing with Alan Moore and Swamp Thing. Like letting a person play with talent in a property is cool. Like all those things can be really, really interesting if you allow them the space to do something. And too often they don't, and that's the problem.
Or you hire him, say, I want to do this Alan Moore stuff, and then say, no, don't do your Alan Moore stuff.
That's the frustrated. And that's the problem. And then on top of it, like they just don't. They're terrible at developing new talent. They just buy old. Like it's a lot. I mean, it's what Disney does now. Like or what most large studios do now. They just buy up properties, and that's what they do. So they can run things into the ground, and then they'll buy a new IP and run that into the ground. And
so I will say I've been very heartened this summer where the audience is saying, no, we don't want more of that.
And I mean, a lot of it has been driven. I mean, what really has been exciting to me is like a lot of it's been driven by indie horror, like true indie horror of these people that are, Obsession is great. Backrooms is great. Like Obsession is really great. And and what is it? Hexam, that was good. There's other stuff like especially with Backrooms and Obsession, these are creators that built an audience before they ever had a movie.
And they're making movies that speak to today's audience.
And they're on top of it, they're good. And like Obsession is really well made, incredibly well crafted. And
I have a review of Obsession at wherethulongtailends.com.
it is a really, really impressive like first time feature film. They're doing a
Indie
lot of
that's gonna do stuff.
yeah, like it remind like probably the last first time horror director that I saw that was that impressive out of the gate was Dave Eggers with the Witch, like where
Yeah,
it's just like, oh
Robert.
shit, you have a vision and you have an artistic idea and you are sticking to it.
You are
um
disciplined.
yeah, and it's that's great, like and that brings me a lot of joy. Like I certainly have enjoyed some of these big budget movies too, but like that kind of talent making these kinds of movies and doing them in interesting ways because they have these interesting backgrounds and unique backgrounds is what will keep, big budget movies continuing to do well. Like if you don't bring in talent like that or allow it to grow,
Yeah,
that's when you keep recycling the old garbage.
that's where you end up with Mandalorian and Grogu
Yeah,
coming out and nobody being happy about it.
yeah. I mean, Disney has lost the plot. I don't know,
Yeah,
5-10 years ago. Like, oh my god, it is like from when I worked in theaters, Disney was by far the most impressive studio to work with because they were 3-4 years ahead for every movie that was coming out in terms of marketing it, planning it, prepping for it. They were so ahead of the curve compared to everybody else. It was fascinating. I remember I watched a rough cut of the Cinderella live action movie 3 years before it was released in theaters. And it had huge chunks where there was literally just like animated stuff in there and like we'll drop this, the mice will look like this here, and like it was a completely rough cut, like an unfinished thing, but that's what they were marketing to retailers 3 years before the movie was even out. And it was it's an unfinished film and they did that with everything.
yeah. They
And
don't do
like
that anymore.
they still do some of it, but nothing like, I mean, we're talking would have been like almost 15 years ago. And like they were that ahead of the curve on stuff, and like this is what we're planning, everything's worked out for 5 to 10 years out. We have everything, like it's not publicly known, but we are working on it behind the scenes. And like they have killed essentially Star Wars, Marvel, and their animated films in like 2 years, like all three. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, it's stunning to me how much they have fallen off a cliff. Like, it's yeah, I can't. I don't know. I don't know how they fix it. They're in some deep shit. I'm sure they'll buy like Hasbro or somebody.
Yeah. Sony is never going to sell Spider-Man back to him. I can tell you that.
No, why would they? Nope. They'll make a movie they got to make a movie every 4 to 5 years. Or
I think Hasbro and Mattel are finding out that not everything is Barbie either.
no, but like, yeah. I mean, Minecraft is sitting out there. That'll get bought at some point. I'm surprised D&D hasn't been really brought in by a major studio. I'm surprised Magic the Gathering hasn't. I'm surprised Pokemon really hasn't. Like there's big properties sitting out there that they haven't really touched.
Nobody has gone all in on anime.
No,
But
that's the other sleeping giant. Like if they don't figure that out, China and Japan are about to fucking roll over us. Like at a degree, it's gonna be crazy.
I'm surprised we don't have a live action Totoro movie.
Yeah, I am surprised. I mean, I'm assuming they
That makes
won't
it
allow it.
brilliant.
Yeah, I would assume that's not allowed.
I would
But
assume so not, but it's still.
there's no way they aren't asking every 6 months. There's no way. There's no way. Like Or yeah, there's absolutely no way they aren't. And that would be a disaster, an absolute disaster. Uh,
Probably.
I can't imagine how upset. Like, you think Star Wars fans are bad? Like, start getting anime fans mad.
Oh
You're gonna
my!
like Jesus Christ, man.
I thought you were chill and cool.
Yeah, none of them are. None of them are. Like that was something I said when they bought Star Wars. I'm like, oh, they're gonna think this is great, but eventually
Got
they're
out of
gonna
there. What
they're
get
gonna
was
find
good.
out how psychotic this fan base is. As a member, as a card carrying member, they are going to find out how psychotic this fan base is. And that's going to be the same for any major anime property. It'll be bad, but yeah, who knows?
Well,
I'll be happy if Disney
I will have to
dies.
talk about Star Wars. What went wrong? Because I have opinions.
Oh my god.
My number one being they screwed up the ending that was Return of the Jedi that everybody was mostly happy with.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
we're
mean,
gonna kill off all the characters that people love. The fans will love it.
yeah, there's so many mistakes they made. There's so many mistakes they made. Probably the biggest is they bowed to the fan base.
Yes.
The moment they did that, they were dead in the water. Like that was it. It was done. Because you're never gonna satisfy the fan base. You never
No.
will, because it's too divided and it's too. Everyone has a different thing they want, and like
They want somebody in charge that has a vision.
yeah, but they
You
don't.
do that,
But they
it'll be
don't.
okay.
That's the
Never-
problem. That's the problem. They do, but they don't, and like, because
They
they
don't
are
they like a vision, but they might accept it if you hang it with somebody
yeah.
talented.
Because they got a vision and they got fans that didn't like the vision, so they got rid of the vision and like
They went back to J.J. Abrams, who doesn't have a vision.
yeah, who never has. Oh, like just yeah. And then the live action stuff has. I liked it early on when it was let's tell this story, but in a way that makes sense as a live action movie. So there would be some changes, but they dropped that pretty quick and then just turned them into
Let's regurgitate what you already love.
yeah, and then just turn them into facsimiles of the animated movies. And then it's just like
Only uglier.
yeah, what's the point? Yeah.
You know, we didn't do it this way because we wanted to take advantage of animation.
Yeah.
And now we're doing it this way with live action. It doesn't work as well. I wonder why.
No. It could have with some of them, but like you still had to have like a way of making it whimsical and like magical, and they just abandoned that for realism, and then it just looked dumb. Yeah. and you don't have the technology that can do that for this kind of stuff. And
you know, you brought up Cinderella. At least it said, let's see if we can flesh out the characters a little more.
Yeah, and that I liked that idea. Like if we're gonna do this as a live action, it has to be different so it will work in this medium. And we have to add something different and like
well, give the actors more to do.
Yeah, and like I didn't love the movie. The movie's fine, but at least it was trying something.
Right.
And trying something different and trying to not be the exact same movie. And I think they did it for one or two after that, and then they just straight up went, what are our most popular animated films? All right, that's what we're going to make, and they're going to be exactly the same, just with The Rock or whoever, and whoever the main, whatever big star is out there, we're going to just drop them in there.
Yeah, they took the wrong lessons from the success of the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
It said, what if we took all of this technology and made the movies exactly like the animated, but with this technology?
Yeah. Terrible idea. Yeah, they're a hot mess.
We're getting off the subject, aren't we? Well, we were on the subject for a while, but
Yeah, I mean the main point is indie comics are great. Read them. So are films, indie horror films, all that kind of stuff. Don't just stick to the main studios or the main, the big two publishers. Like, there's always interesting stuff out there, and that's where you're gonna really find. Like, you're gonna find some really cool stuff and find out, find things that interest you that you might not have expected would have ever interested you.
Yes. At the best, at this period, what I think was DC at its best, there was something for when I just wanted to dumb punch them up, and if I wanted something smarter, there was something out there. And I don't feel like there's always something out there now, though. Occasionally there is.
Yeah, this would have been. Is this Silver Age DC right around this time?
This would be
or Bronze.
Bronze. I mean, after the Crisis of the Infinite Earth.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, it's certainly a big resurgence for DC proper around this time, and then.
But look at the talent they had at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's absolutely wild what they had that they were working with, and then Vertigo is what, 2 years out, a year and a half out, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Jim Shooter was a talented editor, but he alienated everybody he worked with.
Yeah, and at this point in time, Marvel was just dumping out X-Men books. Like this would have been Claremont's run was probably still going on.
Yeah,
I'm guessing. But
that went into the Jim Lee run, didn't it?
Yeah, it might have. But like, this is probably right around when McFarlane is starting to take off.
Yeah, he's starting to take off with Peter David is doing stuff with the
Hulk. Peter David was great, but like, I mean, McFarlane, they learned the wrong lessons from McFarlane. And as much as I liked McFarlane, certainly loved his art, but like, dude couldn't write for shit. And yeah, I mean, that's where I mean,
I think he would agree with you at this point.
Yeah, I mean, well, and this is. Yeah, I mean, this is when Marvel started going 8 covers for every first issue one, and like all that kind of crap, because they were trying to just pump up their stock price. Yeah, this is right when it's about to get ugly for Marvel. I don't think it's quite there yet, but we're getting there. But yeah, this is certainly right in the middle of when DC is really showing off. And when Vertigo comes out, like, they just are. I mean, like I said, Vertigo is heads and tails, the greatest.
Maybe not in sales, although,
That's true. But like, in terms of
was always much talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like quality books, you can't top Vertigo. Like, there was so many that, like, they had multiple books you could argue were like the greatest book of all time, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy, because they were just pumping out great work.
We can go over Vertigo's greatest hits at some point, but it's like you all know it's out there.
Yeah, and it's just pick your poison. Whatever you feel like, there's going to be something great that they put out.
Heck, you still have. I mean, that kind of continued from this run anyhow, and you still have Alan Moore at this time with wrapping up V for Vendetta.
Yep.
Right, coming off of Watchmen.
Yep.
Swamp Thing, Watchmen, V for Vendetta, all kind of in a row there.
Yeah. Moore went on. Yeah, this is just the middle of his tear. Good Lord. I mean, From Hell is what, 2 years from now?
Yeah, it's about what, 1990?
God, like, the fact that From Hell is still coming is crazy.
Yes.
Just a tear. Like, well, good God, man.
I mean, that decade he had in the 80s to the early 90s is like, that's an all-timer.
Yeah.
Frank Miller was bouncing wherever he wanted to go.
Yeah, he might have been on Daredevil at this time, would be my guess. He was with the occasional Batman book.
Well, he did Ronin and Dark
Oh,
Knight.
that's right. Ronin would have been around now. Yeah.
That would be prior to the Dark Knight. Then Dark Knight Returns, and then he did Year One, and then he would walk away from DC for about 11 years with
Yeah.
the Fallout. And Alan Moore would. I don't think Alan Moore truly quit DC over that, but I think it was kind of like the final straw.
Yeah.
And a couple other creators walked away, and they would come back eventually. I mean, I know Howard Chaykin said, "Nope, I'm not working with DC anymore. I'll go back to American Flag." But that's some walked away, and it certainly will damage DC for a decade. But somebody said, "Okay, I'll work with Karen Berger."
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'll do what I want to do, and no, you don't mess with me. So, but that's still in the future of this podcast.
Yep. What a run. Good Lord.
Yes.
Man.
Next episode is Swamp Thing number 75, entitled The Thinker. Any thoughts, Matt?
I haven't looked at it yet. I've been purposefully going just one issue at a time.
Okay.
On
Well,
purpose, because I wanna be surprised. Like I expect to be surprised anyways, but like I want to just kind of focus on each issue. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm expecting we're gonna start. Like it's the start of a new arc, so I mean, there's gonna be some sort of transition, but I don't know where they're gonna go. I'm assuming it's gonna certainly hinge around who the next like Swamp Thing will be, and what's gonna happen with the Sprout. Um, but yeah, I don't know what else besides that.
yeah,
And yeah, I think there's a lot of ways they can go, and I think it's going to be very interesting.
I can say that if we didn't get him a much of a wild layout as I was hoping for in this issue, I think we get him in the next.
Nice.
So that should wrap this episode up. In the meantime, you can subscribe to Swamp Things on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, including YouTube now. Please feel free to like or share the link wherever you see it. Also, you can follow Swamp Things on Twitter at Swamp Things Pod. Feel free to send an email to swampthingspod@gmail.com. And finally, if you like what you hear, please leave us a review or rating on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon.
Much beauty in the swamp. If you only look.